for being here. I'm so excited to chat with you today about Instagram. I know it's both like we love it and we hate it. We need to use it and we don't want to use it, you know? And I think that Instagram is just part of our lives now. And it is actually a really great way to be marketing. It is a really great way to be establishing connections. It's a great way to be establishing community. Hello to the people that are here live, and hello to the people that will watch the replay. And if you're new here, my name is Erica Leman. I am a coach, a mentor for heart-centered wedding photographers, and I actually have a background in business, which is what I really love doing. I love being a photographer and I love running a business, and I think it's very exciting to be running a business that runs well, right? And I have taken 12 years to get to this point where I have a business that runs well, and what I like to do is I like to teach others how to get to this point quicker than me. And yesterday, I went live to talk about the booking accelerator. So you'll notice that that's in my link in bio. And I would really love if you applied, or if you have any questions, feel free to send me a DM. I'm also happy to give you like the first lesson for free, just so you can see what it's like to actually learn from me, see what it's like to actually be in a container with me, so that you have a good understanding of like, what is this about and why will this benefit me? Let me know if you want that. Just send me a DM. What I wanted to talk about today was Instagram followers. And the reason I wanted to talk about this is because years ago, before Instagram, I don't want to say before Instagram is what it is, but before there was like a big algorithm change, somebody actually said to me, I know that I'm not getting a lot of reach on Instagram. I know that not a lot of people are seeing me. And the verbiage that they used was, let's be honest. The more Instagram followers you have, the more people see your stuff on Instagram, the better your clients will be and the more clients you'll get. And even back then, that was not necessarily the truth, because the truth is that we can have a ton of Instagram followers and not be booking anybody, right? Or we can have literally like 200 Instagram followers and booking a good handful from them, right? And I think that there's a lot of nuance and a lot of unlearning that we have to think through regarding how we interact with Instagram, how we consider Instagram, how we kind of look at what follower count means for us, how we look at what engagement means for us as business owners and as people. Because as much as we would love to be like, well, Instagram is just whatever, Instagram is not always just whatever for us. Sometimes we can allow Instagram to mean something about who we are as human beings, as opposed to seeing it as what it really is, which is a tool to help us market and create community for free. And that's something that I want to bring to the forefront too, and that I mention a lot of the time, is that Instagram is a great tool. It's a great resource and it's free. So like, if you're going to be using a free resource, you really can't be putting expectations on it. I'm sorry, but you can't. So like, either you get mad about the algorithm and how Instagram works, and then you decide not to abide by that, or you do decide to abide by that and you start playing the game. And when you play the game, you're going to get more of what you're looking for, because you're playing the game in the way that Instagram wants you to play the game, right? And what a lot of people think is that in order to get bookings, whether it's in number or in quality, that you need to grow your Instagram followers. And what I want you to know is that's not actually the case. You just need to get in front of eyes. And you can get in front of people's eyes in multiple different ways on Instagram. Like the hashtags that you use are going to help you get in front of people. The tags that you use are going to help you get in front of people. Your relationships with other vendors is going to help you get in front of people, because they're going to share your photos and their clients are going to see your work. The way that you engage on Instagram is also going to be the way that your clients engage on Instagram. And I'll tell you, like, I know for me, myself, I'm a lurker. Like, I am somebody who goes through my Instagram feed and I'm like, oh, this is nice. And do I double tap it? No. Do I comment on it? No. Do I respond to people's Instagram polls? No. And so I can't be mad when my clients operate in the same way that I do, where I don't even know that they're aware of me on Instagram until they tell me that they found me on Instagram, right? A lot of my clients are actually aware of me on Instagram, and then they don't actually start following me until they get into a booking container with me. And that's something that I really want you to understand, is that if you're going to be operating in a certain way on Instagram, your clients are going to operate in a certain way on Instagram. And as you charge more money for your wedding photography packages, your people are going to be less likely to engage publicly, but they're going to be people who reach out to you privately. So like if you're somebody who you know that you want to work with a particular person, what I want you to ask is like, do you actually engage with them on Instagram? I even inquired with a photographer recently. I've never engaged with her on Instagram. Literally never. Never. But you better believe I went to her Instagram to see her portfolio, right? So follower count doesn't necessarily equate to what clients are coming into your world or not coming into your world. And I want to really shatter that because that is the absolute truth. Like there are some accounts that I'm aware of on Instagram that I don't actually follow, but I'm aware of them, right? Like I know who they are and sometimes I'll search for them, but I don't actually follow them, right? And that's just because like, to me, sometimes I just forget to follow people, but I'm aware. And then I'm like, oh, I forgot to follow this person. Okay. And so really the way that you have to think about followers on Instagram isn't necessarily like, I need to have X number of followers in order for me to have a really good roster of clients, right? What you need to think about is like, what is the content that you're putting out there? How is that speaking to clients and potential clients, right? Whether or not they follow you. And here's something else to consider. Your Instagram is public, right? If you are a service provider and you are, somebody that sells stuff in general, sells a service, and you have an Instagram account, it's highly likely that your account is public. And if it's not, it should be so that people can find you. So like, just, quick caveat here, please remember to unprivate yourself if you are selling something, because otherwise people can't find you and they don't see what you're selling. But if you are public, then people can just go and look at your stuff whenever. You know what I mean? I don't even think that photographer that I recently inquired with, I don't even think I started following her. I think I went to her Instagram, saw her work, and sent her an inquiry, right? Through her website. And I think that's something to note as well, is that like your stuff is public. So there is the potential that somebody may look to it for proof that you are who you say you are. You do provide what you say you provide, but it's just a proof point. It's not actually the place where they're going to engage with you. Where they're going to engage with you is actually going to be the inquiry and the booking process. And that's actually more impactful. That's more important than any sort of engagement or follower count that you would get on Instagram, because that actually has a dotted line, actually a solid line to profits, which is what makes your business sustainable, which is why you're on Instagram in the first place, because you have a sustainable business. So a large audience doesn't actually equate to actual bookings a lot of the time. A large audience or a lot of engagement doesn't actually lead to bookings a lot of the time. It is just the fact that you're there on Instagram, providing what you need to provide for your clients and potential clients, giving them proof points to say that you are who you say you are, that you are trustworthy, that you are going to be amazing to work with. And that may not mean that they're going to follow you or engage with you. Even something that has happened now is that, we're able to hide like counts. And I noticed recently that there's a photographer that I follow who has a lot of like counts. And I was like, wow, this person's getting a lot of engagement. I was like, how are they getting a lot of engagement? Their photo is beautiful, but there was nothing out of the ordinary that would make it seem like, oh, this photo gets a lot of engagement. So I actually went into the follower, even though you can hide the follower count, you can still go into the followers, and all of those followers were bots. All of those likes were bots. All of those likes were fake. And that was very interesting to me as well, because here's this person who I don't know for sure, but I assume, you can purchase a service where people, will go in and they'll assign likes to a particular post and make it look like you're having a high performing post. And really what you're doing is kind of sketchy. And it's just making it look like you have a lot of engagement. But what is that engagement actually doing for you? It's not doing anything except boosting your ego. But then at the end of the day, you think about it, it's not boosting profits. It's only boosting your ego. And so why would you even want fake engagement in the first place, right? So what I want you to know is that, if you see accounts that have a lot of followers, or you see accounts that have a lot of engagement, you never know where that engagement is coming from. You never know where those followers are coming from. Are they real or are they not? Even for me, I have a high follower count, or what I consider to be a high follower count, and all of them are real as far as I know, unless people have followed me and they're not real and I don't know. But all of them are real as far as I know. And I'll tell you, I have 13,000 Instagram followers, but I only book 30 or so weddings a year. And that's my desire, is I only want to book at this point around 30,000 or around 30 for myself, not 30,000, around 30 for myself to shoot personally, right? That's different for my team. My team, I can send out and they can shoot more weddings. But for me personally, I only book about 30 weddings per year, even though I have 13,000 Instagram followers. And that's what I want you to know, is that having a high follower count doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have a high client count. And even if you think that's what you want, is that actually what you want? You know what I mean? Like, how realistic is it for you to be shooting every single weekend day? How realistic is it for you to be doing engagement sessions on every single weekday, right? How realistic is it for you to be working all of the time, essentially, and not actually enjoying the life that you've created and the life that you want your business to help you create, right? So evaluate and examine what you want, evaluate and examine your expectations, and also temper those expectations. Kind of put some reality around those expectations, where you may think you need a lot of followers because you want a lot of clients, but do the two equate? No, right? So we have to temper that expectation. You may think that you want a lot of engagement because you think that leads to a lot of followers, which you think leads to a lot of clients. But is that true? No, right? I had a reel that almost went I don't know, it was high performing recently, and I got no new clients from that. It was just cool to be like, oh, people are liking this reel. And so I just want you to know that the two do not equate. A lot of engagement doesn't mean that you have a lot of clients. A lot of followers doesn't mean that you have a lot of clients. And what matters is actually the relationships that you're building outside of the app, or maybe inside of the app. But it's not one of those things where you're posting a ton, having a ton of engagement, having a ton of public front-facing stuff that people can see. A lot of the time, community building, relationship building on the app or outside of it doesn't happen on the forefront. It happens in the DMs, right? It happens in the text messages. It happens in the emails, right? It happens in the face-to-face interaction you have on a wedding day. It happens when you send a gallery to a vendor and the vendor shares your stuff, right? Like, that's different. That is a very different way of thinking about things. And so we don't always have to rely on these outside optics of engagement and Instagram followers to say, oh, this person is successful, or that's what I need to be successful. What you need to be successful is just actual clients. And as you charge more, there will be less people actually publicly engaging with you, because people don't see the need. They're going to your Instagram to say, oh, is this person who they say they are? It's a proof point. And then they're going to your inquiry form, which is where you want them to go in the first place, right? Especially for those of us who are like, don't send me DMs. And there are some of us that are like, don't send me DMs. People listen to that. And so they're not going to send you a DM. They're not going to engage on your stuff, because you're basically saying, please don't engage with me on Instagram. Please send me an inquiry form. And so they're going to do that, right? If you ask for something, people are going to listen. If you want things to happen a certain way, people are going to listen, right? And so a lot of the time, having public engagement, public follower count does not equate to having good profits, right? It really just, they're kind of separate. They're kind of separate, right? Instagram is a marketing tool, and it can be used as a community building tool, but it is not always a client generating tool, right? Can it help? Sure. Does it emphasize like what you bring to the table? Absolutely. But it is not actually necessarily something that definitely correlates to how many clients that you have. Like I said, I have a high number of Instagram followers, but I book about 30 weddings per year. For like, that's a very small percentage, right? Like, if I have 13,000 Instagram followers, but I book 30 weddings, like, that's all that I need. You know what I mean? For me, myself personally, right? And I just want to mention that to you, right? And so what we really should be doing with our Instagram isn't necessarily following, honing in on follower growth, isn't necessarily honing in on engagement, but it is honing in on like, what do your clients need to hear from you, and potential clients need to hear from you, that if they heard about you from somebody else, right? If another vendor referred you, if a friend referred you, if somebody mentioned you to somebody else, what would they need to see on your Instagram to make sure that this person is who they say they are and that they definitely want to work with you? And how can they get in touch with you outside of the app, right? So I really want you to know, public engagement doesn't necessarily mean that somebody is successful or not. Number of follower count doesn't mean that somebody necessarily is successful or not. really what the true measure of success is how happy are you in your business, and how profitable are you? How sustainable are you? And do you have the opportunity to scale in the future, right? So we need to really rebrand the idea of Instagram of like, it used to be something that maybe follower count was important in the past, but I don't think it is anymore. I really don't think it is anymore. You want to know why? Because like my follower count, it is high, but it hasn't grown in like over a year, truthfully. And some of that's actually my choice. Like I've been removing followers because I'm like, I don't want people who are fake or misaligned to be in my follower account. I don't want that, because then I'm just speaking to the void. It doesn't make any sense. I only want people in my follower account that are aligned with me and that make sense for me to have there, right? And so my Instagram follower account really hasn't grown over the past year, and I'm okay with that. But I am still making six figures in my business, right? And I'm on track to make multi six figures. And I think that we really need to pay attention to that, right? Like it can be so cool to be like, yes, I have 13,000 Instagram followers, right? My husband's a teacher and he tells me that his kids, his students are like, wow, like your wife is Insta famous. I'm not. But what's important to me isn't necessarily that I have these 13,000 Instagram followers. What's important to me is that I have the right followers in my Instagram count, or the 13,000 or 130, right? And that's why here, even on this like mentorship account that I have 97 followers right now on my mentorship account. And I'm so happy with that. I'm so pleased with that. It is so nice to have people in that follower account that like, I know they're aligned with me. I know almost every single person that's following me right now on my mentorship account. And that is so nice. That is so nice. I love that, because that's the opportunity for true connection, right? Like that's the opportunity for me to be like, oh my gosh, like I know this person. Let me reach out to them. Let me chat with them. Let me see how I can help them, right? And so we really need to rebrand the idea of Instagram of like, yes, it's still a marketing tool, but it's different now. It's different. We don't need to worry about follower count. We don't necessarily even need to worry about engagement. What we need to worry about is how can we use Instagram as the proof point for if somebody refers us to somebody else, how could that somebody else go to our Instagram and be like, yes, and sign me up, right? So if you have questions about how to do this, about how to create messaging, choose images, things of that nature, to really enhance your Instagram, to make it into a proof point, as opposed to a, like, this is the be all and end all, apply for the Booking Accelerator. We talk about it there, and it's so much fun. And it's also just a much easier way to operate in business. Feels better, feels more enjoyable. And then we don't feel like beholden to everything that we feel like we need to do on Instagram. Okay. Thank you so much for being here. Have a great day.